Welcome to another episode of the Creative Power Hour. I'm your host, Marcus Whitney, and today my guest is Professor Eric Holt. What's up, brother?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Good, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. It's been a minute. I mean, we've bouncing to each other at like the leadership music event and stuff like that. But like, it's been a minute since we've sat down and actually like caught up.
It has, and a lot's been going on.
Yeah,
even Professor Holt. It sounds funny.
Yeah. No, I wanted to start with that because I never called you that before, so that was dope. So I always start this show with an origin story. You know, this is like episode 23 or something like that, and It's been amazing. I've had pretty much every conversation has been with somebody who I have a relationship with. I know the person, but we spend the first 15 to 20 minutes getting into who they are and how they grew up, how they came up, and it just sets the stage for everything we're going to talk about. So I would love to hear that from you, man.
Well, I'm from here. I'm a local, so I'm one of those unicorns.
What part of town?
I actually grew up in Hendersonville.
Okay,
north
all right,
Nashville.
Of course.
Parents worked, and my mom taught at TSU.
Okay,
and so I grew up with that community, and I went off to Howard University for college, studied communications in DC. My goal at that time when I graduated from high school was to go to the most northeastern historically black college.
Okay,
and that was Howard. It's debatable if it's Howard or Hampton.
Yeah.
But it was Howard's
it's
the
Howard.
largest.
It's
Howard.
It's Howard. Yeah.
So went up there to have this experience because I was a hip hop fiend.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be in a big city, urban environment, and I got all that.
Howard handles all that for you.
Yeah, got all of that. Right. I remember my first homecoming. This big guy stepped on my shoe, and I kind of elbowed him in the back. He turns around, and it was Biggie Smalls.
Wow.
Yeah, he was on Howard's
that's
campus
dope,
for Howard's
man.
homecoming, and it was crazy.
That's
so
dope.
It was a really good experience, and I think it helped define what my passion was going to be as an adult moving forward. So moved back to Nashville after a couple of years to go to law school, and while I was in law school at Vanderbilt, I started LoveNoise. And LoveNoise was a passion of mine. It's a concert promotions company. And I remember when I was about to graduate and I had to make the decision, do I go and practice law or do I build this company that I've developed? And I went to my uncle, who was at the time a judge here in the city and the only lawyer in our family. And I went to him, I said, listen, Uncle, I know you don't go to Howard and Vanderbilt and not practice in the field.
Yeah.
But this is what it is. I wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning with ideas about LoveNoise. I have a passion for it. I can do law, but it's like digging a ditch. I don't only do it for money.
Yeah.
Like we see a grown man digging a ditch.
Yeah.
The only reason he's going to dig a ditch is if it's his house or if he's getting paid
That's
money
right.
to do it.
That's right. That's
And
right.
like for me personally, practicing law would be like that. I can do it. I can make it work. I can make money.
Right.
But that's the only reason I'd be doing it.
Yep.
And this is what my uncle told me is the best advice in the world and what keeps me going to this day. He said, you will always be able to find someone that will pay you to help them make money.
Yep.
Always.
Yep.
For you to go and make your own money on your own terms only comes once in a lifetime. You're not married. You don't have any kids. Go try it and let your plan B be practicing law. I mean, that's great.
That's a pretty good plan B.
Yeah, pretty good plan B.
That's a pretty good plan B.
17 years ago, never had to practice.
Wow.
So I stick to that.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So man, you just ran through a bunch of stuff, and I got stuck on the Howard and the Biggie Smalls thing because that sets a little bit of the timing for me. So, how old are you?
I'm 44.
Okay. Yeah. I was about to say we're the same age.
Yeah.
I was at UVA during that whole time.
Wow, yeah.
I went to school a little bit early. But the minute you say Biggie, it's like, well, I know when he died, and I know when he was doing those college rounds. I mean, Howard Homecoming was in a Biggie Small song, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That was 93, 94.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's when that's so right there. I was like, yeah, I know exactly when that was. We didn't get Biggie to come through the school, but Tribe came through. We got Tribe, we got the Roots, we got DOS Effects. You know what I'm saying? They made that whole Mid Atlantic run. Man, those were good times. Those were good times. So you came back to Nashville, right? Like,
well, no, I worked 2 years for a think tank in DC.
Okay.
The advisory board company.
Yeah,
they work in the health. You
worked at the advisory board?
The original, yeah.
Wow.
They split off.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the original, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What were you doing there?
In the Watergate building, I was a research associate.
No kidding.
I wrote research, the white papers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a whole other thing we could talk about.
Yeah.
All right. So you did that for 2 years, and then
let me say this too about that experience. So it was a research firm, and it it's kind of like a churn, right?
Yeah.
Because
how big was it then?
At that time, maybe 200 employees.
Okay.
Yeah. It was about 3 floors at the Watergate. Yeah. And so the president still came. We every Friday evening we would sit Indian style. He would talk about entrepreneurship actually, and that experience is part of the seed that was planted for entrepreneurship as well.
Okay.
But anyway, one of the things about that experience was when I got the offer to work there, I'd already got accepted to law school with the scholarship. And I was like, well, I could take a break because I worked really, really hard to get into law school and to go to law school.
Yeah.
Or I could go straight to law school and keep this academic thing going. In my mind, this is what I said. I said, I've interned at this company for a couple of years, and I don't know what it means to actually work here full time and that energy. I want to see the rat race without actually having to run the race, because I already know where I want to be, in a couple of years, which is law school.
You're a wise young man.
Yeah, and I saw some things, like working in that corporate environment. I saw some things, people trying to get ahead because they wanted to make it to the next level. Whereas me, I'm getting paid the same thing. I'm doing good work.
Yeah, but
I'm just going to be a 1L.
Right.
And so it was really definitive too, in like forming my opinion of corporate America. And I think it was a real take.
Yeah.
It was a real take.
Yeah. I mean, advisory board is a real take.
Oh yeah.
That's a real take. That's legitimate. Yeah. And working in it in DC, what was that like? Because DC is known for being a very transient place. Lots of internships in politics that don't last very long. I mean, almost like you. You were there for 2 years.
Yeah.
You knew that coming in. Yeah. What was it like being there for that 2-year run?
It's really competitive. It wasn't very diverse.
Okay.
Most of those kids, same thing as any other type of research firm like Bain or something like that, mostly Ivy League kids.
Yeah.
And so they were coming in 1 year, then going to Harvard Business School.
Right.
Then going to Yale Law School.
Right.
And, they're bouncing.
It was a path.
Yeah, it was a path.
Very clear path.
And from the very top, like I said, the CEO, when he talked to us and mentored us, it was about do not stay here. Like they didn't expect you to stay there. If you stayed there, it's because you were bouncing up quick or bouncing out to do something big.
Yeah.
And that's what they expected.
Okay.
So getting hired, if you were there for 5 years as a research associate, something's wrong. Seriously. And so it's this energy. It's like, I got to get up, I got to go, and I got to make it happen.
You talked about how it wasn't very diverse, but I would imagine it was probably a powerful group of young people there. I mean, was that network something that you were able to maintain beyond that time? Or
slightly, but not much, because again, I kind of was like looking at it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm glad I don't have to jump through those hoops.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting because a lot of those students or employees, when they came in, they were applying after the fact or trying to figure it out.
Okay.
Even though they did that quickly and they bounced out, going into it, and again, with everything secured, I wasn't changing my mind. That's where I wanted to be.
Right.
It was a lot less stress. It wasn't no stress because you still have to perform.
Sure, of course.
Still getting a paycheck.
Of course.
But it's a lot less stress than everybody else, for sure. Yeah.
So then, so you leave, head to law school.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
It's interesting. It prepared me for law school because obviously Vanderbilt's a very competitive place as well.
Absolutely.
And I had a concept of the real world that I think a lot of my first year law student classmates maybe didn't have. And so even the choice to do LoveNoise, I knew it was a risk, but I also knew it was a real possibility that I could be successful.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Because I'd seen it.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And so all these little tools picked up along the way kind of helped me to kind of be prepared for LoveNoise.
Now, what year was it when you had that conversation with was your uncle?
Yeah, my uncle.
So what year was that? Do you remember?
So 2000, I graduated from law school 2002. So 2000, the top of 2002.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, 2002. So I've been in town a year. Basically, I got here September of 2000. So LoveNoise was not around when I first got here.
Yeah.
So tell me about the early days of LoveNoise.
So the early days of LoveNoise, it kind of started off. We were managing an artist.
Okay.
And he was kind of like Kanye before Kanye, self-deprecating, intelligent.
Yeah.
Cussed a little.
Yeah.
And so he was a little bit too hood to be in churches. And a little bit too soft for club venues at that time in Nashville, because at that time 3-6 Mafia, like what they used to call gangster rap, that was like ruling the day.
Yep.
And so he didn't fit. And so when that relationship ended, when he decided not to be in the game anymore, me and my business partner sat around. It's like, let's create a platform that was missing during that experience. And we want to create a space that positive hip hop could be played, the type of music we enjoyed. Neo Soul at the time was really big, and that was what we were into.
Yep.
Let's create a space for that. And so we created an event. It was Labor Day 2001. I forgot. It's debatable which year it actually jumped off, because I always forget. It's been so long. But anyway, basement of BB King's.
Okay.
500 people showed up. It's like, oh, wow, we got something.
Yeah.
It wasn't planned to do it weekly. It wasn't planned to do it even monthly. It's like, you know what? This was a great event. Let's do it again. So a month later, we did it again.
Was the event called LoveNoise?
Yeah, from the beginning.
Okay, so that was the
yeah. So
the brand started as
it started as LoveNoise. That management company and all the things we did prior to LoveNoise, it was called Chimenez, and that predates LoveNoise by a few years. Yeah,
right.
So it's the same group of business partners, and we just kind of carried it over.
Okay, And was there anything else happening in town like that when you launched?
When we launched, it wasn't, but right before we launched, about a year or two before, there was an event called The Spot, and several people from the industry, or not the industry, but from the community, had that, and it was basically like a spoken word event.
Okay.
It was mainly a spoken word, but it had music, because NDRE, before she was NDRE, like played that event.
Okay.
And they used to be at Exit Inn and other venues around town, and it was pretty successful, but it was inconsistent. And by the time we started, I think it wasn't a thing anymore.
Got it.
It definitely influenced us. There are some events in Atlanta that influenced us as well. And so when we decided to have this event, at first it was just spoken word, live music, and a DJ. And that Labor Day weekend, those 500 people enjoyed it so much, we saw that it was a need, and we kept it moving.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And was this your first foray into throwing events?
Not really.
Okay.
So when I was at Howard.
Yeah, I was about to say. This is why I always ask these questions, man, because like I know, man, people like we just did a show with Max Goldberg, and it's the same thing. Like dude was throwing all these parties in college. I'm like, you were throwing parties at Howard, right? You were throwing parties.
Well, it's funny, man. So I had a buddy, Jason, in college. He was the same class as me. We were freshmen, and even on to the sophomore year, we worked a little bit together. He was just one of those hustler types. Like when people meet me, they say I don't have the personality of a promoter because I'm not like the hustler type.
Yeah,
I mean, I can speak well, I can be, but I'm not trying to get you to do anything.
Yeah, right.
I'm just not like that. And he was that, typical promoter personality, but I liked him. He was my homeboy. He said, listen, man, I went down the street and I secured a night at the African Room. It was this little club in DC, a little bit past 930 Club. And it's like the African Room, and we can have Wednesday nights. I said, to do what? And it's like, we could do a party. I was like, okay. And we sat down, brainstormed, and every Wednesday night we were doing it. And it's funny, during that experience, I was like, I would never want to do this as a career.
You were just doing it because your homeboy was doing it.
Yeah, I was doing it, young and trying to be in the mix.
Yeah.
And it was fun for a while, but he continued to do other things like in DC, and I became more of a student. I became studious. Because when I got to Howard, I wasn't a student, honestly, because I was a student athlete in high school. And this is a part of the story I kind of left out, but it's definitive as well. In high school, I played football, wrestle, track.
Okay.
And
exact sports that I played.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And in my mind, it's like, I'm going to college for sure. I'm going to get a scholarship for sure. And that's my path. And it was my path. I was getting the letters and everything. The last scrimmage of my senior year, that summer.
Going into senior
year. So I had to have an excellent senior year because I wasn't good enough that regardless of what happened, I was getting a scholarship.
Yeah, but you were.
I was like this, right?
Yeah.
And I dislocated my ankle. Now, if you know anything about the human anatomy,
dude.
Your ankle.
Dude, I had the twisted ankle my senior year. I know. I remember at homecoming game I had the twisted ankle. That was the end of the season.
Yeah. So dislocated. Had to pop it back. The doctor told me I was sedated. That they heard me scream 3 floors up. That's how intense it is. Because the thing about your ankle is the most compacted joint in your body.
Yep.
And when you dislocate, it means it pops out. Sprained ankle means it kind of pops out, your thing.
Yeah.
Broken is when the thing popped out, dislocated. He said it's so unusual to dislocate your ankle. They don't even teach it in medical school. Popped it back in is what they had to do, basically. Yeah. So I couldn't walk on it, couldn't run on it, nothing. My physical therapist got me back in shape enough that I got to play my last 2 games.
Wow.
But it was all for just self-glory because no more letters.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my GPAs like, okay, how am I getting to college? Seriously. It was horrible. And at that moment, it's like, well, let me start like taking classroom stuff more seriously.
Uh-huh.
And I did that. So when I got to college, it was like this kind of learning curve to actually how to be a good student.
Yeah.
And I just worked my butt off.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into law school. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, but yeah, so did sports and all that stuff. And that was a very definitive area. Forgot what you asked.
Man, I just got totally pulled into that story. Man, what did I ask?
I forgot.
I don't know. Des, do you remember what we were talking about?
We were talking about the origin story, really.
Yeah, yeah.
So we started getting to parties.
Oh yeah, the parties.
Parties.
Yeah, parties. All right.
Yes.
So I was becoming a better student. So the party thing really wasn't that elusive to me at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in that world really.
Yeah.
And so I let my guy do his thing. I was like, cool, any help you need, I'll help you, but I'm not going to be there every time. And so he did his thing, and I continued to do study. And one of the main things that I got into at Howard was debate, mock trial debate.
Okay.
And it tapped into my competitive spirit. It tapped into the whole sportsman thing, teamwork.
Yep.
And so Howard University, by the time I graduated, this is the short version, by the time I graduated, it was the first HBCU to win the national mock trial competition nationally.
Wow.
We're going up against Harvard, Yale. There's only 2 HBCUs at that time involved in the whole national system.
Wow.
And we went in and we kicked butt.
Wow.
And that's how I got the scholarship
Got
to
it.
go to law school.
Wow.
Through mock trial.
Wow.
Yeah. I want to be the next Johnny Cochran.
Wow.
Yeah.
And OJ was going on when we were
That's
in college
right.
too.
Yeah. I remember. Right.
Yep, that was happening.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's hop back now. You're now throwing these parties week to week at BB King's.
Yeah.
Because there are not a lot of venues in town.
None.
Where you could do this kind of thing. So I was wondering, like, where were you going to say you were throwing it, but BB King's?
So look.
It.
So if there's a story to that too, and it has a lot to do with how Nashville has grown.
Yeah.
So that first event was scheduled to be at a hotel near Vanderbilt. I'm not going to say the name.
Okay. All right.
In their ballroom.
Okay.
When they found out that it was 5 African-American males producing the event, they literally said, we can't do this party. And the answer was, when we said why, it's because it's urban, because it's black. And I remember being in that meeting, looking at my partners. One of my partners got defensive and started to argue. I was like, let's hold up. And we just walked out. If they don't want us here, we won't be here. And just so happened, one of the other partners had a friendship with the manager at BB King's. That was the first week that they opened as well.
Wow.
He called them, is there any way we could use the basement? He said, sure, we would love to have you.
Wow.
Boom, just like that. Yeah. And we stayed at BB King's for a while, the first almost full year of LoveNoise with the basement of BB King's. It was a great relationship. And management changed, and then we went over to the bar car. And during the bar car years were the real definitive years for LoveNoise.
Okay. Remind me where the bar car
bar car used to be in Cummings Station behind.
I know the bar car.
Yeah, Johnny Jackson's.
The bar car, Johnny Jackson's.
Yeah, the same place. Yeah.
I was like, where's the bar car? Oh, yeah, it's the place where that Mexican restaurant is now. They're like, it changed into like 30 different things.
Yeah.
All right.
Eventbrite was there last that I've checked.
Okay. All right.
Their offices.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were there, man, for at least 10 or 11 years.
Yeah.
And developed a radio show. Did a lot of things from that room.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of things birthed out of that room.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes all the sense in the world, man. That makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
So how did LoveNoise sort of evolve from, okay, we're throwing this week to week party to being the urban promoter of record for the city? Like where did that come from?
So we would do annual reviews of our company. Just where are we? Why are we doing this? Do we still love it? Just checking in with each other.
Yeah.
And I remember about 3 or 4 years in, when we did the check-in, me and my partners were like, well, what are we going to do next? It's like, let's make it as big as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do as much as we can, as often as we can.
Okay.
And it was like, well, what does that mean? Well, let's do concerts. What do you mean? Let's throw urban concerts, R&B, hip-hop. It's not enough in the city. And let's be known as the go-to event planner, promoter, marketer for urban music. And when we set that goal,
was there anyone else in the space at that time that you would have had to compete with? I know obviously Memphis, very different market, but that was much more mature as far as that goes. But Nashville, what was it like in Nashville?
There was a promoter group at the time, First Fridays.
Okay.
They did an monthly event every first Friday of the month. And that was the go-to like epicenter for partying.
Right.
Sometimes they would do concerts. Sometimes they would do like a special DJ or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was mainly a party.
Right.
Live music is very inconsistent. AEG would dabble in it every now and then. Live Nation really wasn't in the market very tough. So it was just kind of sporadic. And we saw it from a business standpoint as an opportunity. The audience for Nashville at that time was kind of burned on promoters. So what was happening before we, LoveNoise, got into the game, there would be promoters, some local, some from out of town. And prior to social media, it was very easy to do this. They would say, Biggie Smalls is coming to Nashville, Municipal Auditorium, sell 3,000 tickets, and Biggie Smalls is playing in Atlanta that night. That promoter's gone, he keeps the money. And so there's this distrust of urban promoters in the city.
Got it.
And so we tried to mature the market. And one of the things that we said internally was if we put LoveNoise stamp on it, it was going to happen.
Okay.
And if it didn't happen, the patrons would get their money back.
Okay.
And doing that, the way that we did it, it built the trust. It built the tribe. And slowly but surely, we went from our first kind of concert was at the Bar Car with an artist, Guapale.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
She was dope.
Yeah, she was great. And that was our first kind of big.
Okay.
And it wasn't even, looking back on it, it wasn't even that big.
Yeah.
But it was sold out at the Bar Car, packed in there.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience.
Yeah.
She's on the floor in front of the DJ booth, and it was a great experience. And from there, we did Music Soul Child at the old Gibson Showcase.
No, that was big.
Yeah.
That
was like a really big one for us.
And where'd you say that was at?
That was at Gibson Showcase.
Okay,
That used to be in Opry Mills.
Yep.
And we developed such a
What was that like? What was that like, bringing Music Soul Child? I mean, obviously, fantastic musician and very smooth, right?
Yeah.
But also Gibson Showcase, right? So and back then, like Opryland.
It was different, but again, picking up those little tools along the way, dealing with BB King's as a corporate entity, it prepared us when we dealt with Gibson.
Got it.
I remember the first things that the manager at the time told us from Gibson, man, I wish I could have worked with you guys earlier. You're the guys that we need in this space.
Wow.
And that relationship matured very quickly, and it got to the point where they were sponsoring the concerts in both Nashville and Memphis. So we would do a show in Nashville, like I remember PJ Morton in Nashville and Memphis. Gibson paid for it. We shared in the proceeds.
Wow.
And that kind of, again, laid the seeds of the possibilities of those types of things. And we did that for a couple of years until Gibson, shut down. But it was great. It was great. And again, just showing us the possibilities to like some of the relationships we have now with like City Winery and the Schermerhorn, those seeds and the knowledge of how to work with those type of entities were laid way back then.
Now, as you were progressing, I mean, was it the same team that you had in place was still all moving forward? Like, what was that like, in terms of like, you're doing bigger things. And so everyone is getting stretched a little bit, right? You're having to pick up different types of jobs and function differently. Like, how did your team grow and what role did you play versus, I've always known you as sort of like the face guy, but, tell me about the other roles in the team and how that evolved.
So we used to say, and we still say, even though we don't all work together now, it's like, we're like Voltron, everybody had a role and everybody played their role. And that was the best time because we were like a well-oiled machine. Everybody had a space, and everybody had a job.
Yep.
Everybody did it. And so at the height of it all, we had a lot of corporate sponsors. This is right before the recession.
Okay.
And so we had Jump Mobile, which is a Cricket product. We had Scion, which is Nissan. We had Red Bull. And we would get checks to go to different cities. So there was a LoveNoise Chattanooga, a LoveNoise Huntsville, LoveNoise Birmingham, LoveNoise Memphis. And every now and then we did something in Kentucky, Louisville. One of our partners is from Louisville.
Okay.
And so for a few years, we were walk into events paid. It didn't matter how many people came. We already had profit, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so when that was running, obviously you needed a team to be in all these cities. I'll never forget one night, me and my business partner, Bryce, we had 2 major concerts, one in Nashville, one in Memphis, and then we had a show in Chattanooga that was local, and then a show in Birmingham. And we drove all night.
Wow.
Picking up bags. And on the way back to Nashville, it was like, man, if we got stopped by the cops right now, how would we explain all this cash? But it was a team because 2 guys were here in that city, interns were in this city, me and Bryce, you know, and it worked and worked. And so that worked for a long time. Once the recession hit, I think all entertainment companies kind of had to readjust and figure it out. We shrank everything back to Nashville, and a lot of the corporate money kind of went away during that period.
Okay.
And over time, different team members kind of fell off. And so, and I've always been the general manager, it got, there were years, this is only about maybe 6 years ago or so, it was just me and Bryce, or Bryce and I, and one particular year, and I forget exactly what year, it was about 6 years ago though, I looked at him, I said, man, you think it's time to close shop? That year, we did 2 shows, one lost $20,000. The other one made maybe 3.
Wow.
And we were doing parties at a club that just wasn't us.
Yeah.
You know, every Saturday night, so-and-so club.
Yeah.
And they were
universe was telling you it was time to evolve.
Yeah,
it was time to evolve. Yeah.
I remember I was like, man, I don't want to be 40 years old in a club, bro. I don't want to be that
happens,
dude.
yeah, right.
You know? and I remember him telling me, he said, Eric, I have faith in LoveNoise. I have faith in you. I obviously have faith in myself. He said, Eric, give me 6 months. And Bryce was like, if it doesn't happen in 6 months, let's go ahead and start undoing everything.
Okay.
About 3 months after that conversation, we got a call from the Schermerhorn, and it kind of set up this deal. And then a few months after that, City Winery opened.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you run through this,
Yeah.
but we have to unpack why you got a call from the Schermerhorn and what that was like.
Yeah. So we obviously at that point had a reputation of being the urban promoters.
Yeah, and doing good business.
Yeah, doing good business.
Win or lose,
Yeah.
doing good business. Artists show up. You guys are there to
Yeah, win or lose.
Yeah.
And we had done a lot of different things. We've worked with the city, like when they used to do Soundland, I think it was called the festival. Remember that?
MBN, yeah.
Yeah, so we have,
that might be the first time like I actually started
that's right.
interact with you was around Soundland.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they were bringing in the tech component, and that
that's
was
right.
how I got kind of sucked into that.
Yep, that's right. So we did their block parties, co-promoted. And again, we always were working with Red Bull. So I remember
It was the Red Bull
I brought
thing.
Red Bull in to help
Yes.
them with that,
Yes.
you know? And so we were doing different events. We were working with AEG a lot. I'm trying to remember her name. Not Misty. I'll remember it in a minute. But anyway, working with AEG, working with Live Nation. So I'm not sure who called them or how the Schermerhorn got a number, but they knew who we were and what we did.
Okay.
And that we could help curate a more diverse lineup, and that's what they were looking for.
Okay.
And when we got the call, we were ready. It's like, hey, we've done these types of shows. We could bring this to the Schermerhorn. We think this market is ready for this. And Lenore Kinder is the name I was
Okay.
So
All
she was a
right.
big mentor of mine that helped kind of show me us from a larger promoter standpoint, like how to properly pre-promote shows and promote shows. And she NAG really helped mature the urban market. It was a real behind the scenes like thing, but it's very intentional, and it worked. So they were not afraid of an urban show. And they would buy tickets in advance. Which is the main trick. So during all that stuff, when the Screamer Horde called, we were ready. And actually, what happened was we went in, did this whole presentation for the team. The CEO at the time really liked what we presented, but we didn't hear anything back. And then we start seeing some shows that we had presented, like them producing it without calling us. And it's like, oh my gosh. I remember being very upset, and Bryce's like, oh, don't call them. Hold up. you know? And through whatever fate or whatever, that person, the head guy over there, was let go, and they had a new guy. And when that new guy came on, the marketing department, first thing they did was call us. Say, hey, come over. Let's implement this. And we implemented those first shows. They were successful. And it's been an excellent relationship ever since.
I buy my parents tickets to those shows for Christmas every year.
Awesome.
So thank you for doing it. It's special, man. And it's one of many things that makes Nashville this like really top tier 2 city, right? Where, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a real metropolitan area. You know what I'm saying? There aren't really things that we don't get here anymore. You know what I mean? And it's one of the reasons why I really wanted to, have you on the show, is just because I know what a massive role you've played in that. And so learning this story is really, important to me. So I want to try to run a little bit parallel your growth progression, but also Nashville's growth and progression, because there's a huge difference between there only being the BB King venue, right? And then when we met each other, because Soundland, that was like 08, 09, about 10 years ago, about 08, 09. And so we're starting to head into New Nashville. We're not quite there yet, but we're starting to head into New Nashville. And it's funny you bring up the recession, because most people will say one of the things that helped Nashville was the fact that Nashville was pretty recession proof, but it sounds like not in the entertainment industry, right? You know what I mean? And we know that the music industry overall, right around that time, took a pretty massive hit because the internet business, right, started to come in and revolutionize things. So, talk to me about the view. What was Nashville changing from your seat looking like?
So one of the themes with LoveNoise, we used to always try to communicate to the audience, is that we want to present quality music in quality, safe places consistently. And so the opportunity to present in more venues, because, City Winery didn't exist 12 years ago. The Screamer Horde was, after the flood, it was this whole reorganization and representation of the building. So, the Screamer Horde that you see today is much different than what it started off as, And so some of those changes just played into our favor. Like, to present an NDRE in that type of space is amazing. So I remember when I did it twice. The first, the NDRE show, the Christmas show at the Screamer Horde a few years ago, and when we did Maxwell at Ascend. Both times I said to myself, I never would have thought that Independence Day party we did at BB King's would lead to this. Every seat sold, and it's a diverse audience, it's quality music, and I'm not sure what venue is better than the Screamer Horde. I'm not sure what venue is better than Ascend. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. First times we did the different shows we've done at the Ryman. Same thing. It's like, I never would have guessed it. And so the city, as the 100 people moving here a day, it's also 100 different experiences, 100 different perspectives, cultural values. And so the whole, in my view, the entire foundation of the city has shifted to the benefit of the city, because you have these broader experiences and different expectations. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you can go to these shows, and it's not just one background or one view or skin color or even age group. It's more diverse, and all senses of the term. And so the venues understanding that, like the Screamer Horde and City Winery, understanding that from the beginning, it helps. It helps kind of cultivate that. It's not like the culture of the city wants something, and the city is saying, no, we're not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
It's this like mutual ascension to, we can accommodate anything because we're Music City.
Yeah.
And it's not just country music. And the city is okay with that.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier before the show about the Red Bull show that just happened.
Right.
At Marathon Music Works. That couldn't have happened 10 years ago. Has a lot to do with the talent, that it wasn't at the level. Has a lot to do with the perceptions of what's actually being built here. And Red Bull, because they're on the ground, they've seen it for a while. But in order to make that investment that they did on that community, they knew it was time. The community, of course, they knew it was time.
Right.
Now the city knows. And because it was a great presentation, it was a great representation from Music Row and different entities that were there, that were in the house. And they were impressed.
Would it have been, like, was it a showcase?
It wasn't a showcase.
Yeah, what was it just a show?
Yeah, it was a show.
It was a show. Okay.
I guess.
When you say Music Row, I immediately go to
showcase.
It's a showcase.
You know, the reason I say it wasn't a showcase because that wasn't the only purpose. It ended up being that because if you saw that guest list, I mean, it was a lot of, you know, the people,
hitters,
guys, you know,
yeah,
and they were there, and they've talked about it since, and they've communicated that they were impressed, and so. It was funny because with a friend of mine, she's worked in the industry for a long time. She took me to a country music showcase recently. This was before the Red Bull show. Mm-hmm. And I'm not in the country music world, so I don't go to a lot of those things. I've been to them before.
Yeah, sure.
But this is the first time I'd been to one in a long time. And it was one of those, all it was a showcase.
Yes.
So it was the industry there.
Right.
Music Row was there. It was at Analog.
Uh-huh.
Saw this band that was cool. They were great. They were talented. But when I was looking around, it was literally 99.9% of the audience were industry people. There were no fans.
Right.
There were no even family or friends. It was like the industry.
Yes.
And I know that happens all the time. And I remember asking her, what would it take to have this exact same room for Urban Showcase? And it's like, you know, the industry has to be ready too. Yeah. So to see as many industry people at that event with Red Bull, I was impressed.
Okay.
Yeah, I was very impressed.
Awesome.
But it wasn't just that. There's an artist by the name of Bryn Joy that he had a showcase at X&N. That was a showcase. At least half the room, Music Row.
Wow.
And he's been going like this ever since.
Wow.
And so it's happening. That shift is happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see a lot of things come from it soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that shift from the shift.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So let's get to the professor piece.
Oh yeah.
So why are you a professor at Belmont now? What's going on, man?
Well, you know,
first of all, congratulations.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's amazing. But this is
Yeah.
definitely not what I was expecting. I mean, especially given all of the massive success that you've been experiencing. And before we even get there, I need to just say you were a massive part of the Wu-Tang show, right?
I wasn't a massive part, not at all.
Okay, so talk to me about the Wu-Tang show.
Okay, so the Wu-Tang show. So this is a little behind the scenes stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think I'm free to tell it. So the Red Bull show at Marathon was actually supposed to happen at the Ryman.
Okay.
And the whole like kind of tagline with it was that it was going to be the first all local hip hop show or hip hop show at the Ryman.
Okay.
There was another promoter that was already working on the Wu-Tang piece.
Okay.
And it just kind of like over
Timing.
Yeah,
Got
it was
it.
the timing.
Got it.
And it was perfect though.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
perfect. That show sold out, I think, in a day or two.
Yeah.
And I actually bought a ticket.
Yeah.
I don't buy tickets to shows. I actually bought a ticket because I want to be a part of history. And the reason I promoted it so much, and it wasn't our show.
Okay. Okay.
But it was a testament to, again, the culture and the community because the city sold that out. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
The city sold that out.
I was in London when I saw that the tickets were going on sale, and I texted my man and I was like, dog, you got to buy me a ticket.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get me a ticket. I have to be at that show. That show was incredible.
It was
man.
incredible.
It was incredible.
And I was a fan. Like I was in the crowd, and I was a fan. I was on my feet the entire time, like everybody else. And
so good, man.
Couldn't talk the next day.
It was so good.
And so the reason I promoted it so much and put it out there, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, congratulations, Eric," but it was a win for the city.
Yeah, right.
It was
right,
a win
right,
for
right.
the city.
It was. It was
so
a big win.
We're part of the show with Common coming up just this Thursday.
Okay,
and that's going to be at the Ryman too, and it's going to be incredible.
It's going to be incredible.
And so it's just a testament to where we are.
Yeah.
So being just a trooper for the scene for so long,
yeah, absolutely.
It was a win. I took it as a personal win because it happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we can get into higher education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with higher education, so my mom was a professor.
Okay.
She's retired, Tennessee State University, over 40 years, and I always knew from early on that I wanted to conclude my career with higher education. It's just kind of suited for someone like my personality because I'm intellectually curious about everything. Like I'm an information junkie. I watch the news more than anything else, and I love to learn. And so I like to talk too, even though I'm a quiet dude. I like to talk.
Yeah,
and
you're good at it. I mean,
thanks,
yeah,
thanks.
yeah,
Yeah. So I always knew I kind of wanted to end up there. I just didn't know when or how. During kind of that down period with LoveNoise, not a lot of shows, still had to bring home the bacon, still had to make it happen. So I started adjunct teaching.
Okay.
Actually, I was an adjunct professor at TSU
Okay.
for several years. And then I got a call from Belmont and said, hey, we have a full-time position. You should apply. And I applied and went through the rigorous process, and I was picked to have a tenure track full-time position there. And the reason I enjoy it is because I was hired because of my perspective, my experience with LoveNoise. It wasn't, hey, Eric, come here and do research on country music.
Right.
It wasn't that.
Right.
It's like our students are coming in, they want to know more about urban culture, they want to know more about pop culture, and they're into this music. And it's funny because since I've been hired, the last 2 years, the most consumed music in America has been urban music, R&B and hip hop, the most consumed. And that's the first time that's ever happened. And so there's a trend in the country towards pop, towards urban. I mean, pop is hip hop at this point.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? And so, and it influences everywhere. So I'm just right time, right place. And I love it. Like, yeah.
So what are you teaching?
So I'm teaching copyright law.
Okay.
Going back to the law piece.
Okay. All right.
Copyright
Great.
law, venue management.
Okay.
Actually, what I do, concert promotions and marketing, and I actually run a research program called Pipeline.
These kids are so lucky, dude.
great.
That's like, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm like,
yeah.
I would have hated most classes, but like to be able to like learn from you, to learn those, that is dope. That's like really great.
It's an honor to be able to kind of pass it on, because so many lessons I've learned, through 17 years of doing this.
Yeah.
And it's not a corporate situation. It's my money, my
Right.
company's money.
Right.
And so you learn a lot of lessons. You learn it quick, how to get it done and how to do it right. So when you have these young minds and this young energy, and there's a lot of Belmont kids that just have naturally just quality hustle. That's what I call it, quality hustle.
Yeah.
That are getting it in. There's this one particular student, Gade. He's 19 years old, and he's built, at this point, it's a successful promotions company.
Wow.
He just told me recently when he came to Belmont, he didn't even know what a promoter did. He never even, as a profession,
Right.
He didn't know what it was.
Right.
He ran a summer rooftop series on top of a hotel in St. Louis, his hometown. Sold out most of the shows, profitable summer, and he was with us before the summer, before he started his series in May. They have this thing at Belmont called Maymester.
Yeah.
And you okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They don't have those HBCUs. So
Yeah,
when I
no,
got to Belmont,
no.
I was like, I don't know what a Maymester is. Do you know? Oh, they have it now? Okay. I was like, I didn't know what that was. So
Yeah.
I didn't know it was like a thing all over.
Yeah.
So Maymester, I took some kids to New York.
Okay. Nice.
Me and a couple other professors. And so we're touring YouTube, Live Nation, AEG, CAA, William Morris, all the big companies in New York.
Yeah.
We're in the meeting at one of the agencies, and one of the panelists, he's an agent, he goes, Gade. He said, you're the Gade in Nashville? The Gade? And he's like, yeah. Didn't you just book so-and-so? He's like, yeah, it was last week. We sold out. And he was like, wait a minute, 19-year-old guy having a conversation with an agent. And I told Gade, I said, dude, I was like 31 before I talked to a real agent, like a real booking agent,
Yeah, man.
And, he's sitting there in the room, like in New York, like, oh, yeah, I'm Gade, 19. The guy didn't know he was that young.
Wow.
And he's just that professional. But Gabe called me. He's like, man, I didn't even know what a promoter did. He said, thank you for all your guidance, and being able to hear that and to be a part of that,
it's amazing.
Is awesome. And he helped out with the Red Bull show. Got hired on, got him a check. He's doing it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what's the present and future for LoveNoise?
Okay.
Given what
Yeah. So LoveNoise is probably the healthiest it's ever been. Last quarter, we did something like 20-something shows.
Wow.
Because, we have partnerships with City Winery, which we have a couple of shows a week with. We have partnership with Squirmelhorn. We still produce some of our own shows. We work with AEG. We work with Live Nation. We work with Marathon. We work with Exit In. I
mean, you basically have all the relationships.
Yeah, it's a lot of relationships. It's a lot of relationships, and they're all healthy.
Yeah.
And we do what we can. They're at different levels with different entities.
Yeah.
But
you're playing a role.
Yeah, it's a role. It's a role. And I take it serious, and they all know. And I don't like to say that I'm an expert. I like to operate as an expert, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So if you ask my opinion about a show, it's insightful. It is real. It's real experience.
Yeah.
And it's an insight on the urban, thing. Some of these companies are like, well, can you help us in Memphis? It's like, I can help you in Memphis to a certain degree, but not like Nashville. I know the Nashville urban live music scene like the back of my hand. And that's that. I can say that with confidence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what most excites you about the music industry? I think the music industry is in a really exciting place right now. I think it's gone through kind of the machinations of resisting the future, and now it's fully embracing the future. It feels like, and it feels really exciting and fresh. And you're seeing all these incredible, collaborations and. What makes you excited about it?
One of the most exciting things for me is that where the industry's going is kind of like where my heart lives, which is urban music.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
The influence isn't just on the music; it's also in the boardroom and a lot of other areas culturally as well.
I mean, you being hired at Belmont is an example of that,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a perfect example of that.
Yeah. And so really what it's doing, some of the walls over time that have been built up culturally are being broken down because things are becoming so intermingled,
right?
Which is a good thing, which is a good thing. And the understanding is broader, It's like, this is country or this is rap. Then you have Not Little Nas X. What is that? You know what I'm saying? But it's creation. It's creative.
Absolutely.
And there's so much more to create.
Right.
So I think it's in a really healthy place. The technology side of it, we don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's exciting too.
Yeah.
At Belmont, I was part of creating a live music emphasis because that's where everything's going. Artists can't make money sitting at home eating Cheetos by selling records anymore. You got to get out and earn it on the road. And that's great. You're going to start seeing a lot more interesting experiences with live shows, and that whole world, the festivals, is going to get more and more interesting as time goes on. And it's great to be in the position that I'm in, both working in the field with LoveNoise, but also being able to teach it real time, to the students.
So what about the component of, because I completely agree, you got to be able to deliver live in order for it to be real. Mm-hmm. It also feels like there is this component where you have to be very, very media savvy. And I don't mean media savvy in the old sense. I mean social media savvy, right? Mm-hmm. So, I know it wasn't necessarily the title of anything that you were teaching, but how does that play into what you're teaching at Belmont? And just, you're also managing some artists now again, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like, where is that at now for you in terms of, because it feels like, yes, obviously it's table stakes, you have to do it, but we're now starting to get into this really mature place where it's a discipline and it's a blend of art and science. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm learning about it every day. Like that's a big part of why I'm doing this is because I'm trying to get beyond the headlines and I'm trying to really understand how this thing works, and it's really interesting how it works, actually, right? But what's your current read on it?
It's necessary. You can't avoid it.
Yeah,
you have to engage with it.
Yeah.
In that engagement, you have to accept that it's forever changing.
Yeah,
it's not gonna what is working today very well may not work in 12 months.
Right.
And that's just a fact.
Right.
And so you have to be a student of it and know and be okay with change because it's going to happen.
It's changing.
I'm with you. I'm still learning a lot of it. I just had this conversation with a couple of students recently. LoveNoise was built offline. Instagram didn't exist
Right.
17 years ago.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
And so it was built with relationships, real people, you know? It's survived online. You know, I can run my company from my phone at this point for all that we do. I can run my company. But I also know that in 12 months, there's another thing I'm going to have to learn.
That's right.
And get up on to be effective, you know? So you just have to be prepared, and you have to be connected and stay awake to what's working and what's not. Because with music as an industry, it's always been about the people. Regardless if they're buying records or not, you have to engage with the listener. And that point of engagement is shifting some, but it still boils down to like what you're saying. You got to deliver live, and you got to be able to move your audience. Because a lot of people have fans, but if you can't move your fans, they're spectating.
Right.
So you have to engage and say, hey, we're going over here now. And when they come with you, that's when you know you're building a brand and you're building your art.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. How many of the artists that you're working with right now are talking business? I'm going to make an assumption that they're young people.
Yes.
Probably no one over 25.
Oh, yeah. That'd be the oldest probably.
Okay, the oldest would be 25. Okay.
Yeah.
How many of them are talking business with you?
All of them.
All of them.
Yes.
All of them. What are the things that they are concerned with or thinking about today? Because it's to the point of we built businesses offline, and now this is a necessity. What are the numbers that they're thinking about as they're thinking about their business? Is it events booked, or is it online followers, or is it engagement, or is it or is it spins on Spotify?
Yeah.
Like what are the things that they're focused on?
I think it's different for each artist. Some of them just want to tour and get on the road and sell out venues. Some of them are constantly looking at their Spotify spins. One of the artists told me the other day, man, I got 250,000 spins. I need 500,000 by, and he gave a date. And he's trying to figure out ways to get to that number.
Okay.
And for him, that's what moves the needle,
Yeah. Yeah.
But what we try to educate from our standpoint to the artist is that you have to be honest about your music, and that honesty will connect who it needs to connect to. And once it connects, you need to continue the conversation. And that way, again, they can walk with you as you grow as an artist.
Right.
And then as you grow, with your influence.
Right.
Too.
Are they thinking about monetizing their audience now? Like, are they thinking about, okay, I want to sell them some music, or I want to sell them some merch? Or are they thinking about those things? Or are they thinking about, I want to continue to build and nurture this audience, and I want to build up to a bigger buy. Maybe it's, I want them to get enough groundswell so I come to their town, and then I give them, I sell them something special. What's that mindset like?
It's an interesting two-step.
Yeah.
Because if you build out something to sell to an audience that you've never met yet, are you getting them what they want?
Right.
Right. This
is exactly what I'm wondering.
Yeah. If you have an audience and you don't give them anything, will they leave because it's not engaged enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I think some of the artists kind of look at it differently. And the thing about it from a greater industry standpoint, beyond the artists that we're working with, from a greater industry standpoint, I don't think any of the entities know that answer.
Yeah.
Because if they did, it would be this formula.
Right.
Just like
right.
T-shirts now.
Right.
And it's not that.
Right.
But again, even with merch, even with selling tickets, with all of that, you have to be intentional. And I know this is a weird word to use in business, but honest.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. Makes all sense in the world.
So
Absolutely.
that brand, if it speaks to you, if that brand that you're building is consistent with what you're saying and your vibe.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Then it can work.
Yeah.
If not, it might not work.
Yeah.
You need to dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that process, all these artists are kind of different spaces with that. Yeah.
Are you really excited about the artist management piece now? Is that like
I wouldn't be doing it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a passion person.
Yeah.
Even though I'm kind of calm and cool all the time. I'm a passion person.
I feel like it's a great time to get into artist management, actually. Because I think there's a body of talent out there now that understands how competitive it is and is really working towards like driving it. We got Reno recording over there. We're gonna wrap this thing up.
It's all good.
But you know, I think right now we're just in this space where we have a body of people that really want to work hard and like can see it out there and can see like, yo, this is real. You know what I'm saying? And so like as a manager, you don't have to say, do you understand what you need to do in order to right?
Yeah, because they can see it, they can Google it, they can read the backstories that just, I think when we were growing up, really wasn't that available.
No, it wasn't transparent.
Yeah, it wasn't as transparent, so they can see what's required and tap in. It's like, do I really want to do this? Okay, this is what's required. Let me try to get, level up.
Yep.
And so like this weekend really spoke to that, because this was a leveling up for a lot of them, because it was a massive. I've produced a lot of shows. This stage that they built a whole nother stage inside a marathon.
Play around.
Yeah, they did not play around, and the lights and the sounds, everything was top notch.
Yeah,
Ron Gilmore coming in and adjusting their live shows. They during the rehearsals, I gave them the name NBA. It's like, man, what's after the NBA? Retirement.
Yeah,
it's like you're at the top of the game,
right?
And y'all learning from like an NBA master, like,
right?
And they all, after rehearsals, not even the show, after rehearsals, like, man, that's changing my whole concept of the live show.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're students, they're learning and they're soaking it in and applying it quickly.
Yeah.
And in Nashville specifically, it's just a good time. And I always say with management, I'll manage again if the right artist with the right mentality, the right attitude, and the right talent level comes, and I actually have the relationships that can help them. And it's just this perfect storm right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Well, man, it has been great catching up and hearing the stories about how things were built up here, and just as someone who appreciates the work, thank you for what you've done and what you're continuing to do to teach the next generation. We're going to need more people, than you.
Yeah.
So thank you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank
right.
you. Yeah.
Right.
I appreciate it.
Till next time. Peace.